And so welcome back, guys. Very short one today. What I want to really go over is this whole 5G thing that we've been seeing with coronavirus. And I want to show you just a quick infographic to show you exactly what's happening with 5G, why we might be worried about it, why really there's nothing to worry about with 5G in the case of immunity or your own health or coronavirus especially. There's been a lot of misinformation on the internet right now, and I think there's a really good infographic that kind of summarizes what we need to know about 5G and is it going to be dangerous, is it okay for us, where does it lie on this sort of danger spectrum, if you will. Okay, so let's just have a look at this nice little infographic that I've found. Now, this is the electromagnetic spectrum. So we've got electromagnetic spectrum here. We've got our waves starting off on the left hand side. Okay, what we'd say anything over here would be anything over this side has a fairly low frequency. That's what we'd say. Okay, this is a low frequency section over here, whereas things over this side, all right, there'd be a high frequency. These are things like gamma rays and cosmic rays. Okay, these things are bad. These are the bad things over here. These cause ionizing damage to us, which means that they can ionize, or we can lose an electron from one of those atoms. Okay, if that happens to be on our DNA, that could cause a mutation. That's why those things are bad. They are ionizing. They allow electrons to jump between atoms, ionizing them, forming new things. Okay, sometimes breaking chemical bonds in the process. If that happens in your DNA, we can have mutations. All right, lower down the spectrum though, even with, so we have like TV signals here, cell phones, and then this is where 5G sits, right? This is where 5G sits, fairly low down. People like to say this 300 gigahertz, 30 to 300 gigahertz. That's quite a lot. That's a big number if we're not used to seeing what this gigahertz and megahertz and all these things, right? If you come down here, right, to picohertz, you know, and all of these, I don't even know what EH stands for really, but over here we have a very low wavelength. Okay, so the distance between the wavelength, sorry, just to clarify, is the distance between the two crests, right? So the distance between this side and this side, okay, that is termed wavelength, WL, wavelength. I believe that's sometimes called lambda. Okay, so if that wavelength is shorter, we have a higher energy. Okay, if that wavelength is longer, we have a lower energy, which means we have lower frequency, and the frequency is how many of these waves are seen per millimeter or per whatever unit you're using. Okay, so obviously there's more waves in these sections. Oh, sorry guys. There's more waves in this section than there are in this section, right? In this section, there's two waves, 1, 2. In this section, there is a lot of waves, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You get the idea. More waves means more damage, means it's bad for us. But because 5G is only in this, you understand that? Because 5G is in this lower range, which means it cannot ionize things. 5G cannot cause an ionization. If it were to cause ionization, you would need to physically heat up something. 5G is lower energy than visible light. The light that you and I are taking into our retina right now, into our rods and our cones in our eye, those cells that take that, 5G is a lower frequency than that. It has a higher wavelength. Higher wavelength and lower frequency, these things mean they are less dangerous. 5G has a lower frequency and a higher wavelength compared to even visible light. Okay, sunlight and ultraviolet light. If you look, ultraviolet light up here, this part can be ionizing. That's why UV radiation can cause skin cancer, right? We've heard this before. So just wanted to a really quick video just to show you that if you hear 5G can cause mutations and it can change our DNA and our makeup, or basically things that you hear from non-scientifically minded people, it's a load of rubbish. It's a load of rubbish simply because 5G cannot cause that ionization. It physically is incapable. And when I say physically, I mean bound by the laws of physics, it cannot cause an ionization. It cannot cause one electron from the outer shell of an atom to break apart, causing an ion. That's what an ion is. That's what this ionization means, right? So I hope that was a fairly basic but intuitive explanation as to what 5G is and why we wouldn't have any damage really there. The only way that 5G could really harm you is if you're standing right next to a pylon and it physically heats you up. that's the only way really it could cause damage, simply by heating you up too much. Okay, right, so I hope this has been informative, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.